Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to the news bulletin at 8, brought to you by our number one news provider, Eswatini TV. I am Nondomiso Vilagati alongside Nomakabiso Nkambule. First, let us take a look at today's headlines. Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini says COVID-19 vaccination is key to opening other sectors of the economy. The Minister of Health, Liz Ngosi, says the country has stopped the purchasing of COVID-19 vaccines due to the low uptake of the vaccines. The police service is concerned with the high rate of crime in the country and the possession of illegal substances. The news. Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini says COVID-19 vaccination is key to opening other sectors of the economy. The Prime Minister was speaking when receiving the COVID-19 vaccine booster shot together with the Cabinet Ministers on Tuesday.
Following recommendations by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention CDC that countries should administer COVID-19 vaccine booster shots, on Tuesday the Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini was joined by Cabinet Ministers in getting the booster shots. The Prime Minister says COVID-19 vaccination is the key to opening other sectors of the economy.
Asonzele la kujova khona sivile etindzabeni ukuthi lesifo asiyembili sekukhona nalokunye losokuchakele lokwenta ukuthi sihambe kakhulu sigijime ngokuthathelana phela so ke siyacela nje ukuthi eMaswati umuntu angayengwa abantu ukuthi bathi nawujovile utaba naloko nawujovile utawuphepha kuthi noma kumbeke lesifo sosithola singede sakugulisa uzulale phasi sibonile emaveni lamanye lapha kujove khona anise bahamba ngokukhululeka nje noma baya emabholeni noma baya kuphi sekude ukuthi batawukwenda bo social distancing.
According to the World Health Organization's targets, the goal is to vaccinate 40% of the world's population by the end of this year and 70% by mid-2022. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samka Suekoza with Fabrice Msonera Babane.
The Minister of Health, Liz Ngosi, says the country has stopped the purchasing of COVID-19 vaccines due to the low uptake of the vaccines. The minister was speaking when the cabinet ministers were receiving COVID-19 vaccine booster shot at cabinet offices on Tuesday.
On Monday, the Kingdom of Eswatini recorded a rise in COVID-19 daily cases as 44 people tested positive for COVID-19. On Tuesday, the Minister of Health, Liz Ngosi, joined other cabinet ministers in receiving the COVID-19 vaccine booster shot at cabinet offices. The minister says the low uptake in the COVID-19 vaccine in the country is worrisome because the country might soon be hit by the fourth wave. She says due to the low uptake, the country has stopped the purchasing of COVID-19 vaccines.
Vaccines maning kakhulu in fact ngoba sasicabanga ukuthi kutawuhamba fast sa order kwaba kunene nalele sikodile bese siyakuthenga sesicela ama suppliers ukuthi aseweme ngoba kutawuhamba kuhambe kusonakalela funa sicabange right now ukuthi lelo kuhledile ama fridge nesingade ukusebenzisa should we be sharing with other countries like singako ngoba sine kwethu ku pipeline kukhona lokudako vele labantu asidilivela kona so kunengile funa sicabanga but kimi lokubaleka kakhulu ukuthi eMaswati akome.
According to the Ministry of Health report, 23.1% of the country's population is fully vaccinated, with over 3,000 people who received their doses on Monday. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samgal Suekoza with Fabrice Msonera Babane.
Cabinet ministers are pleading with members of the public to get their COVID-19 vaccine in preparation of the anticipated fourth wave. The ministers have been receiving their COVID-19 vaccine booster shot at the cabinet offices on Tuesday.
Last week, the Minister of Health, Liz Ngosi, announced that the country will this week start a COVID-19 vaccine booster shot rollout exercise. On Monday, healthcare workers received their shots, whereas on Tuesday, cabinet ministers received their booster shots. Speaking when getting their booster shots, cabinet ministers encouraged Eswatini to vaccinate in preparation of the anticipated fourth wave.
We're working together in the Ministry of Health
siyathi ukuthi tikolo angila concentrated bantu khona labantwana ba concentrated lapho, so uma ngabe singasebenzisa lawo ma sites lawo kungasisita kakhulu to boost the number of people who have taken the vaccine.
Ngakhutsata nje naso sonke sive kakhulu laba bakithi bawo transport laba interacta nesive kakhulu kuthi nabangasonzela bete batobooster nje uma litiko letempilo lisendele.
So ngaba kucela nje kokuthi awu sive seMaswati asikuthathele etulo lokho wonke umuntu aka vaccinate lokho sekufike nje I variant lensha kusho kona kokuthi vele lo mkhuhlane sesekhona so asihambe seMaswati siyogoma sijake lo sisimane sishaye lo 100%.
The Ministry of Health says for those who use the AstraZeneca and Pfizer vaccines and have underlying conditions, they must get their booster shots after 3 months and after 6 months if they don't have any conditions and use the same vaccine. The ministry says for those who used the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, they can get their booster shots after 2 months. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samka Suekoza with Fabrice Simpsonera, Babane.
The police service is concerned with the high rate of crime in the country and the possession of illegal substances. The Royal Eswatini Police Service had a joint operation with officers from His Majesty Correctional Services to curb crime in identified hotspots places of crime.
The police service have reported an increase in crime rate in the country. It is for that reason that the Royal Eswatini Police Service had a joint operation with His Majesty's Correctional Services police officers to strengthen their workmanship and find any illegal items in homes and in their houses. Superintendent Thabo Hlope, who is in the CID department, says the crime rate was now alarming. Something needed to be done because people were in possession of illegal substances.
Kulandzela ukuthi bucala benyukile, house breakings, robberies, illegal firearms and drugs trafficking kugcwele la. So si maphoyisa sibone ukuthi kuyinto lenhle ukuthi esike sibuyele emuva kulesa sikwenda indlela sasitenda phambilini lebe sitenda sibunqobe ebucala lekufana nakona lokuthi sihambe siphikitha sirate sibuka dona tinvo letingekho emthethweni letingaba bucala kwanyalo sisecale ngayona lena kulandzela lokuthi kumbe ma statistics advice komba ukuthi ingcumbi yalobucala la kamanzini ibusukuma kuyona lendzawo lena but nje sizitawamba tindzawo ngetindzawo la kamanzini akusile nayo thwana lesitargeting.
He says he cannot reveal much for now about the operation, but their goal is to decrease crime rate in the country and find any illegal substances that may be hidden in certain identified hotspots places of crime. Report by Kiani Msibi.
Tabiso Shabangu, one of the grocery vouchers beneficiaries from the Luke Commission vaccination campaign, encourages members of the public to vaccinate and ignore myths and misconceptions about the vaccine. He was speaking when receiving a grocery voucher from the Luke Commission.
The Luke Commission continues to award vouchers to people who are fully vaccinated for COVID-19 and continues to encourage others to vaccinate. The grocery vouchers include 500 Malangani, 300 Malangani and 200 Malangani grocery vouchers. The Director of Communications in the Luke Commission, Rogers Mamba, encourages those who haven't vaccinated to do so before the fourth wave of the pandemic, which is slowly approaching. Mamba says the Luke Commission has cared for over 1,200 COVID-19 patients, most of whom were either severe or in critical condition.
Nisatha ngesikhathi lapho khona live la kaNgwane lisengakawuboni lo mkhuhlane ubuya ngemandla esigabeni sesine la sewugadze khona. Nineke senyosithethe ke lo mjovo ukuvikela lo mkhuhlane ukuthi lokungenani na uthi uyefika ukhandle ukuthi emasotsha akho aqinile atawukhona kumelana nawo awehlulekise. Nangaba ngakhoni kwehlulekise ubethi hayi lo mtimba awuvumi uthi la uyakhona noma ngawe yakusiphi isibhedlela bafike bakunike lawo leyo mithi labatakunika yona yalo mkhuhlane lophethe ulalele ngoba wena sowuvike ukusita lapho ke lo mjovo funa sewunake kahle lokuthi akusho ukuthi nayiqhamuka nyalo i4th wave ngeke wena ikuthola nakwendekile yafika kuwe engadini yakho ukhanza semasotsha yakho asaqinile ayakhona kulwa nayo yonke lento letawuqhamuka nalo mkhuhlane we-COVID-19.
He says it is painful to read in the media of 10,000 vaccines which were recently destroyed because they have expired, yet there are still people who are reluctant to take the vaccine. Tabiso Shabang spoke on behalf of the beneficiaries. He says he encourages people not to pay attention to misconceptions and myths around the vaccine, most of whom are from unvaccinated people, to discourage others to vaccinate.
Lisondo liphumela ngetingane nakufukwethu indzabeni vaccinate ngoba lisondo liluze kakhulu because of lama theories lahlukahlukene abo magnet after the vaccine, abo low life expectancy, etindzabeni abo miscarriages, etindzabeni tekuthi nase uvaccinile ngeke usatala abantwana. Yonke lama theories lawo abeshilo babe ukuthi kunala qhamuka leceleni lalento ukuthi ungathathi lesinqumo lesingiso uthi lala ubhaqe khona usafe kanti cha usengotini. So lapho siphila khona lo commission sitalihambisa lelivangelo.
The Law Commission has awarded chairs to constituencies and churches who have people above 50% of their population that are vaccinated and continues to do so. Some constituencies are now toward the 100% target. As of yesterday, there were 267,865 fully vaccinated people in the Eswatini, who form about 23.1% of the population. As of yesterday, there were 267,865 fully vaccinated people, who forms about 23.1% of the population in Eswatini. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB, Stogoto.
The Hoho and Shiselweni regions were hit by a severe storm on Monday afternoon, which mostly damaged maize fields and houses. The National Disaster Management Agency is still doing an assessment of the damage caused by the storm.
Some places were severely hit by the storm on Monday afternoon, especially in the Shiselweni and Hoho regions, which damaged mostly the fields and a few homesteads. The program director in the National Disaster Management Agency, Victor Mahlalela, gives an insight of the damage by the storm.
We received some reports of hailstorm yesterday, in particular in the northern Hoho, around Wenjeni, and also around the Hugwini here in central Hoho. And then we also received some reports from Shiselweni, mainly from Shiselweni Ingundla and Masesini, whereby there was a hailstorm that was distributed in some pockets of the country. And this hailstorm mainly caused damage in agricultural fields, mainly maize fields. And as the maize was still at a tender age, we hope that it will still recover from the damage that came as a result of the hail. We also received some damages along in some homesteads in Pigs Peak and Dlangeni, Hugwini Ngundla under Dlangeni, whereby there were some damages, and the NDMA team is already providing emergency support in form of tents and tarpaulins to those affected households. Lastly, one can say that we may require or urge the nation that as we are in the rainy season, let's be cautious and watch for any, be precautious in whatever we are doing, ensure that we don't leave our houses door closed, windows must be closed at all times to avoid our houses being blown off by windstorm that may occur while we are away.
He encourages members of the public to be on the outlook of the storm as per the advice by the Meteorology Department, which reported that rains will be above to normal this summer season. The Lubombo and Manzini regions did not report any major damages after Monday's storms. The NDMA continues to respond to those places which seem to be affected by the storms, as they were seen doing a couple of weeks ago. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB. Some visuals from the National Disaster Management Agency.
Persons with disabilities in Eswatini presented challenges that they are facing, which contributes to the fact that they lag behind in access to health services, especially in the fight against HIV and AIDS. The disabled persons presented the challenges before senators and members of the parliament during the World AIDS Day commemoration.
The Kingdom of Eswatini, together with the world, through different ministries, commemorates the World AIDS Day. The theme encourages countries to fight AIDS, other pandemics, and inequalities. Persons with disabilities presented different incidences and different challenges in as far as access to health to end pandemics is concerned.
I want to believe that there's been a change of attitudes lately. But in the past, when persons with disabilities approached health facilities, they'll be stigmatized, mocked, like when he wants to test for HIV/AIDS, he would be asked, hey, so you also have to do engage in sex.
One other, it's accessible formats of maybe educational themes, such as Braille, such as sign language, maybe interpreters, and other accessible formats.
Senators and members of parliament shared their views on these challenges.
Up to now, the office operationalized half these problems are actually addressed there. The discrimination discrimination all these things are contained. The sense that's in the Longangat, the most of Shalom said for.
The Deputy Prime Minister's office, together with disabled persons, is working on drafting regulations that will operationalize the Disability Act, which will eliminate some of these problems. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni in Parliament.
Welcome back. You're still watching Eswatini TV, and for your sports news tonight, Eswatini Football Association President Peter Smelane says football fans who have already vaccinated for COVID-19 should proceed and take the booster shot as one way of protecting themselves better. Smelane is encouraging more fans to vaccinate, as this will increase chances of government allowing more supporters in stadiums in the near future. Smelane was speaking when taking a booster shot at the cabinet offices in Babane.
The Eswatini Football Association has joined other stakeholders and organizations in encouraging members of the public, mostly football supporters, to take COVID-19 vaccine. The association's president, Peter Smelane, when taking a booster shot at the cabinet offices in Babane, encouraged even those who have already vaccinated for coronavirus to proceed and take the booster shot, as this will be the only way to protect themselves from the pandemic.
If sijova siphinde sithola nale booster shot utagcina uhulumende asivulele njengakulamanye amave.
Smelane mentioned that it is due to the support of government that the country has now a specific allowed number of supporters allowed to attend games at the stadium, and more numbers could be allowed in the near future if fans do vaccinate and also take a booster shot for those who have already vaccinated.
La kangwane nema officials nema-fans lokuthi let's boost, and le nomboro yaze yakhula yaba yinenge. Sitawuyela kuhulumende siyocela ukuthi kuhulumende sesicela ukuthi salevele uvula.
Smelane went on to talk about the proposed idea during the recent CAF General Assembly of having the FIFA World Cup in every 2 years, which he says will benefit the Kingdom of Eswatini.
If it's feasible, ema countries lafana nathi boSwaziland, they will gain because le mali ya biannual World Cup it out distributed to all the countries.
For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Babane.
Denver Sundowns coach Ncamiso Nxumalo says the club is now assisting newly recruited youngsters from the regions to be able to adapt playing at the Premier League level. Nxumalo says if they achieve, then they will start fighting for the title next season. Nxumalo was speaking to Eswatini TV Sports in Stegi.
Denver Sundowns Football Club has in the past prioritized giving a chance to young and upcoming talented players to be able to play at the Premier League level. In the current MTN Premier League season, the team has a group of players coming from the Super League in different regions. Team coach Ncamiso Ncumalo says they are still assisting the youngsters to be able to adapt to play at the Premier League level. Ncumalo says playing at Premier League requires experience and understanding, something that they are still helping on majority of the players in the team.
It's still early, but my boys, they are young, so they are still getting into the Premier League because most of them, they are from regions. So, but I'm hoping a few games they will be okay.
Sundowns are 7th in the Premier League with 7 points in 4 games played so far and has won 2 games, drew 1 and lost 1. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Babane.
That is all we had for tonight, but before we wrap up, let us take a recap of today's headlines. Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini says COVID-19 vaccination is key to opening other sectors of the economy. The Minister of Health, Ngozi, says the country has stopped the purchasing of COVID-19 vaccines due to the low uptake of the vaccines. The police service is concerned with the high rate of crime in the country and the possession of illegal substances. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin tonight. Up next is the weather forecast for selected towns. Good night, Eswatini.